Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second video on lesson 9.1, surface area of rectangular prisms. And as you can see, we're starting right off with our reference sheet. And our reference sheet is from the bottom, which talks about the geometric solids, where we're going to find volumes and surface areas during this entire unit. And I talked briefly in the first video about the formula for surface area of a rectangular prism being this long sucker thing over there. All right? And it always works for a rectangular prism, however, it doesn't work for any others. This one right here for right prism, this right prism, the one we talked about right here, 2 times the area of the base and perimeter height, that one works for every single prism. Doesn't matter what shape the base is, it works. So let's get used to it and let's use it. Talking real quickly, going to this right here, our rectangular prism covering the bottom, and most people look at the bottom and say, hey, that's the length, and then you look at the side and say that's the width, and then you look at the height and you go, well, there's the height. And so when you take 2 times two times the length and the width, plus 2 times the length and the height, plus 2 times the width and the height, when you take those things, you will recognize that 2 times area of the base, well look, length and width. Length and width right here, that's the area of the base. So we're shortening it right there. And then we're going to add to it the perimeter of that base, which is going to include all of these right here, the perimeter, and the height is going to be the distance between them. So we're shortening that long formula into a very usable one that not only works for a rectangular prism, it works for all the prisms. So let's do a couple examples. Now this first example, I'm going to do both ways, because some of you, I understand, I recognize some of you are very comfortable. You're very comfortable with the first formula that I'm hoping you'll get away from, but I understand you're comfortable with it. So using that formula, the surface area is 2 times the length and the width plus 2 times the length and the height plus 2 times the width and the height. Let's fill those in. I'm going to color coordinate this real fast. So I've got the length right here, and that's going to be the length. And I've got the width, let's make that blue. And I have the height, well, let's make that green. So everywhere I have those letters, I'm going to color coordinate that with numbers. So everywhere I have a height, I need to put in a 4. So I need to put in a 4 over here and a 4 right there. And everywhere I have a W, I'm going to put in a 12 for the height. So I have a 12 here, and I have another 12 over there. And then everywhere I have an L, I'm going to put in our red number, which is 18, and that's going to go there and there. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of the formula. So surface area is 2 times 18 times 12, plus 2 times 18 times 14, plus 2 times 12 times 4. And when we do the math very quickly, 18 times 12, that's 216, so 2 times 216 plus 2 times 18 times 4, that's 72, plus 2 times 12 times 4, which is 48. Continue with the math, 2 times 216 is 432. 2 times 72 is 144, and 2 times 48, that's 96. And when you add all 3 of those together, you get 672. Now we're talking meters. And remember, surface area is always squared. All right? So 672 meters squared. So that's using the long way, as I call it, which only works for one prism, being the rectangular prism. Let's try it using the other formula, 2 times area of the base plus the perimeter and the height. And I always identify my base. And in this particular case, I'm going to call the base these sides. I'm going to go with the sides. Because remember, in a rectangular prism, it has 3 sets of opposite, parallel, congruent sides that we can call bases, because they meet the definition. So I'm going to start off with 2 times the area of the base, which is 2 times the base and the height of that rectangle. And let's fill in those numbers since we're on it right now. That's 12 times 4. Okay? And then we're going to add, the perimeter. So the perimeter of that base is the distance around the base, and that's 12 and 4, which is 16. 12 and 4, which is another 16. So we're going to add 32 times, what's the height? The height of this, the distance between these two, between the two bases is 18. Okay? And so now when we do the math, well, 12 times 4, that's 48, and 2 times 48 is 96. Plus, we have 32 times 18 is 576. And when you add those two together, guess what? That's right, 672. And we're going meters and they are squared because we always square area. So you see we get the same answer, and that looked to me like a whole lot less work. Maybe you like to do more math, I like to do less. And since this one that does less works for every single prism, might as well get used to it. So let's do another example. Here's another rectangular prism, example number 2. And most people like to do the bottom and the top. So I am going to do the bottom and the top as my bases. They are opposite, they are parallel, they are congruent. And I'm going to use the formula, 2 times area of the base plus the perimeter times the height to find my surface area. So let's do the base first. So 2 times the area of the base, well the base is a rectangle, and you find that by going base times height. So that's 2 times, well my base is 8 times 2, plus the perimeter of that base, the distance around it, that's 8 and 2 is 10, plus another 8 and 2 is another 10, so plus 20. And of course the height, the distance between these 2 bases is 10. Okay, so now when we do the math, 8 times 2 is 16, 2 times 16 is 32, plus 20 times 10 is 200, and we add those together, we get 232. Our units are centimeters, and as always, it's area, it's squared. 232 centimeters squared. Let's go on to our last example of surface area of rectangular prisms, where it says find the surface area of a rectangular prism with a length of 6, a width of 4, and a height of 9. Now, if they put it in words, they don't show you a picture, you might want to revert back to that long formula, length, width, length, height. You can. That's your option. I am going to show the example being 2 times area of the base plus perimeter and height. And of course, I love drawing pictures to help me with that. And you might say to yourself, well, I can't draw a picture of a rectangular prism. Well, yes, you can. I'm going to show you how right now. Here's our art lesson of the day. Draw a square, and the square is a rectangle, so just draw one. And then, up in the right corner, draw another one that overlaps just a little bit in the corner. And then all you have to do is connect the corners, the vertices, and voila, we have a rectangular prism. And then we're just going to label it. I have 6, I have 4, and I have 9. Notice it's not the scale, but who cares? We've got it done. So we're going to go the base. I'm going to use the base. I'm going to use the base as the bottom, since most of you are comfortable with that. I'm going to use the base as the bottom. So 2 times area of the base is going to be 2 times 6 times 4, and that's 24. And 2 times 24 is 48. And we're going to add to that the perimeter of the base, the distance around this bottom base. And I'm going to say that that's 6 plus 4, that's 10, and another 10 is 20. So this is plus 20 times the height. The height is the distance between the 2. Now, I didn't mark the other base. I should have. That would be the top. So when I get the distance between them, that 9 is the distance between them. So 20 times 9. And 20 times 9 happens to be 180. So we're going to add 48 to 180, and we're going to get our whopping answer of 228. And of course, our units up here, yards and square. Pretty cool. Works out pretty well. All right, moving right along to our second quick write. Find the surface area of the prism. So notice when you draw it, they did a little bit more. Here's that first square right here, that first rectangle. And then if you draw the second rectangle right here, overlapping with this space right there, and then you just connect those lines, those vertices, and voila, you can draw it and you can label it. Notice, all the units are the same. So this rectangular prism is a cube. It's a cube. It has all the same sides. So if you find one surface area, you can find them all. However, you can also use the formula for 2 times area of the base plus the perimeter and the height. Ladies and gentlemen, take a quick break, grab a snack. As soon as you're done with that quick write, come back and see me for video number